because basically the number system is a system of laws, isn't it? 1 through to 9 is a system of laws. So we're kind of picking out a few as examples of major truth.
Yeah, and Egypt is another good example because they had 9, they called it the Ennead of the gods, and we use the term God, but that wasn't their understanding. They saw those as major truth principles and laws that existed right throughout the universe and saturated human life as well.
In fact, we get our word for nature from the ancient Egyptian word for the gods, these 9 gods that you mentioned, the Neteru. So
yes.
It's very interesting in this search for truth. Sometimes you can't look around you, sometimes you can't look forward. You've got to trace back and try to get to the core of things.
Yes, I've got some interesting examples here of this law of 6.
Yeah, great.
So, I mean, that's something I'm particularly interested in is artwork and sculpture throughout a history, because I think, there's an old saying, isn't there? I think it's Chinese, that a single picture is worth 10,000 words. And so art's been used in the past to capture understandings about major truth. And so you can see in this slide here, these are examples of the hexagram, or the law of 6, expressed in symbology and artwork and architecture through different cultures, different civilizations throughout different times in history. And, in the bottom right-hand corner, there's some corporation's logo, because it's interesting when you look at logo design, nearly all the most powerful and effective ones often come back to, it's the law of 2, or it's triangular, it's the law of 3. Or, think how many company logos have a pentagram in them, that have a star in them. So This is also this idea of tapping into the power of major truth, even at the level of making your corporate branding and logo more effective, penetrating into people's unconscious.
And here's a truth then, that, it turned up around the world, turned up in religion, turned up in different epochs that didn't know about each other. And so you're talking about, we're looking at a major truth. I mean, the seal of Solomon is a central symbol for the Jewish nation, right? So there's a major truth. But if you ask somebody, if you talk to somebody and say, okay, I'm going to put on the table a major truth that is absolutely essential, and you drew this, how much could a person actually say about it? What's the relevance a person would feel to their own life? And yet at some time in the past, there was a incredible relevance understood about this, which is just an example of how far we've moved away from major truth, and we're really basing our lives on minor truth, because a person could talk for hours about the latest series they're watching on TV. But when you talk about a major truth like the law of 4 or the law of 2 or the law of 6, or maybe a universal quality like care, suddenly there's not that much to say, or maybe nothing at all. So that's the importance of this study, right? That's the importance of these conversations.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
So with this example on screen here, we're looking at a collection of snowflakes, because no 2 snowflakes are ever the same. And, that's a lot of snowflakes when you think through the centuries.
Through the millennia. Lot of snowflakes.
Yeah, it's mind-boggling. But the interesting thing is there's something to do with snowflakes and frozen water that it always configures to this 6, this hexagramic star type pattern.
Right.
And I think why that's also a lovely example, we go back to the Plato view about major truth and about essence. He gave the example, well, there's one of the examples he gave of the tables, and he obviously gave many others, but those were man-made things. That the deeper truth inside of that is that he was saying that nature, which man hasn't created, nature works by the same principle of laws, these laws. So the humans haven't made snowflakes. This is something about the natural worlds that always configures snowflakes to 6. And there's so many examples. If you look at the shape of 5 or the star or the pentagram in flowers and starfish and different cellular arrangements.
I was just thinking, you could have an image here of all these different types of people from, Eskimos to Zulus to all races, all religions, and they'd all be configured to the 5-fold.
Very good. Yes. Yeah, very good. Yes, and what you just said, Colin, I think is a really, really good example of why major truth is important, because, without going into it, you think of the trouble in the world from all the different types of humans and different ways of living, the conflict, but inside of that, at the very core major truth, we're all human.
Yeah.
And we didn't make, our mothers and fathers might have had a part to play in it, but that thing of conception and the human forming and growing to that 5-fold pattern, they say that if you took the liver from person from one part of the world and a liver from another, a liver expert would have a hard job telling whose it was. They could do DNA analysis and find out, but at that major level, there's so much that's unifying with the human form and what motivates it, and this search for truth and understanding about what is it really all about.
Yeah, and it opens up the subject of qualities, which is another one of the themes in Ruby Mountain, because any culture, any time in history, any race, any religion, somebody arrives at your door cold, tired, hungry.
Yes.
They need warmth, they need something to drink, they need something to eat, behind which is care and kindness and consideration. And everybody's moved, everybody's touches, everybody wants those things.
Yes.
So it's not just about the functionality of the mechanical part of the laws, which is fascinating in itself, the law of 2, law of 3, law of 4, but the human qualities, which are really extensions of universal qualities, because they also appear in the animal kingdom. They appear between nature itself and organic life, and you'd have to extend that to the universe, because there's incredible balances that imply some sort of consideration, some sort of care.